Hey, Motorman here. Why am I standing so far from the camera? Am I having a bad hair day? No, it's to make a point. From this cone right here to where that camera is 130 feet. I'm gonna walk it now. All right, 130 feet. What does that mean? Well, if you're going 60 miles an hour, this is how long it's going to take for you to come to a stop. And that's under ideal conditions when you know you're going to stop and you're covering the brake. So take a look at this. Camera girl, show them that cone way up there. That is a long distance. If you've never practiced braking or stopping quickly, emergency braking, not panic braking because we don't want you to panic, but emergency braking, that's about what it's going to take under ideal conditions to stop from 60 miles per hour. Now, if you weren't covering your brakes when you made this stop, notice that mailbox way down there? That's your reaction time. So that's what it would take for you to stop from 60 miles per hour if you were not covering your brakes. You'd be way down there. So that's about another 90 to maybe 100 feet. Now let's get on the bike and I'm going to show you what it looks like when you make quick stops from about 60 miles an hour. So, all right, I'm going to do some quick stops from about 60 miles an hour on this street. I'm going to wait till, of course, all the traffic is clear. And I'll show you what it looks like. If you've never done this before, if you've never practiced quick stops, you have no idea how much room you need in order to make a stop. You better find out before it's too late. Right at 60, nobody behind me. I'd say that's about 140, 145 feet. To practice your braking, first thing you should do is go to a parking lot, start at about 20 miles an hour. At 20 miles an hour, you should easily be able to stop within about 20 feet. And you could use the lines of the parking lot as a guide. They're generally 9 feet apart. So if it takes you 3 parking spaces to stop, well, keep practicing until you get it down to about a little over 2 parking spaces. And then work up in 5 mile per hour increments or 10 mile per hour increments, whatever you're satisfied with or whatever you feel comfortable with. See these telephone poles on the side of the road here? They're about 200 feet apart. So I'm going to pick one and then I'm going to hit the brakes hard and we'll see how long it takes. So right about 130, 140 feet. Now I'm covering my brakes when I do that. And the reason I'm doing that is because it saves me about a second to a second and a half to go from your hand wrapped around the throttle to where you're actually applying the brakes. It's about a second to a second and a half depending on the person. And you're covering 90 feet per second at 60 miles an hour. So if you cover the brake, anytime you think you may have to stop, cover both those brakes. It could save you 90 feet with no practice at all. Now let me talk about ABS. Yeah, ABS is a lifesaver, no question about it. When ABS first came out on our Harley-Davidson police bikes, I believe it was 2005, we tested it under controlled conditions. No sand or gravel or anything on the ground. And after 10 stops, or out of 10 stops, we were able to beat the ABS by threshold braking once out of 10 times. So out in the real world is never ideal conditions. And that's why you got to practice your braking. Now, if you got ABS and while you're doing your braking, you're running over some sand, that will increase your stopping distance. However, it's not going to cause the motorcycle or the tires to lock up so that you're sliding on the ground. This is why I always recommend, you're buying a new bike, buy one with ABS. That doesn't matter if you're a new rider or experienced rider. Go for the extra money. It is a lifesaver. I think there's some stats from the government, since a lot of motorcycles have been coming with ABS. It's prevented quite a few crashes. Usually you would always see at a crash with the motorcycle involved a long black streak. That shows you that the person hit the rear brake, because they're used to stomping on that rear brake in your car. But in your car, it's going to break all four wheels. On the motorcycle, stomping on that rear brake is only going to affect the rear. And even if you have link brakes, it's going to affect some front, but it's not going to give you full stopping force. 80% of your braking force, at least, is in that front brake. So you got to practice using both brakes. So you don't have ABS, you better practice a lot more. And if you do have ABS, you should know what it feels like when that ABS applies. You're going to get some pulsing in the front brake. You're going to get some pulsing in the rear brake. I always try, when I'm making a quick stop, to threshold brake. But if I go a little bit too much pressure on the brake, nothing's going to happen. You'll just feel that pulsing sensation. It tells you that the ABS is working. But never rely on electronics. As everybody knows, they could fail. As far as braking in a curve, I've got another video just for that. So I hope you subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned something. By the way, next Friday starts Biketoberfest in Daytona. My plans are to get over there Friday morning. I'll be walking around Destination Daytona. I think I'll do Main Street and maybe even the racetrack. So I'll be wearing my Ride Like a Pro hat and shirt, and I'll be carrying a camera. Come on over and say hello.